movie where a Disney prince starts living out on the streets, promises his love interest a magic carpet ride, and ends up living a life of luxury at the end. That's right, it's the Aristocats.
We shall fly to Paris on a magic carpet.
I mean, you read the title, right? Like, I hope you were able to deduce the answer, even if you didn't know it, through context clues. And before you jump down my throat, yes, Thomas O'Malley is a Disney prince. He's Prince of the Boulevard.
Prince of the Boulevard.
Everyone knows this, don't pretend like you don't.
I'm the only cat of my kind.
In all seriousness though, there is a surprising amount of overlap between our favorite alley cat and Aladdin. They both have an introductory song about how street smart they are, impress the girl by taking them back to the abandoned building that they use for a home, have friends with the best song in the whole movie, and have this whole plot line about how their background is this impassable barrier to love with a member of the aristocracy. The difference is that Aladdin is a story about a teenager learning responsibility, and the Aristocats is about the attempted murder of a single mother and her children.
Rock-a-bye kitties, bye-bye you go.
It's just that it's also a feel-good road trip movie about cats. So,
Groovy, Mama, groovy!
you know, it kind of rounds out the darker aspects a little bit. The Aristocats is a weird movie. It's the first in what we call Disney Animation's Bronze Age. Bronze as in coming after the gold and silver eras, but also bronze as in, you know, objectively worse. And I'm not gonna fight that quality judgment. I will go to bat all day for Cinderella as a magical piece of art which deserves every single piece of praise it's ever gotten, and probably more. Aristocats I will go to bat for as a great time, like a fun movie to put on, like if you're feeling sick. That's the type of movie that this is, and I will defend it on those merits, but you know, there's a lot of corners cut, reused animation, which is very obvious, some stilted movement, and lackluster voice performances.
Oh no, they're gone.
A meandering plot and pace, only one song that really sticks out as memorable, and of course some light racism sprinkled in there.
Shanghai, Hong Kong, Fuyang.
But despite all that, I would understand someone who says that this is their personal favorite in Disney's catalog. It's got a lot of iconic moments and characters, and a plot which is extremely endearing, and probably its biggest boon, the fact that it's about cats. Most humans very much enjoy watching video featuring cats. This has been proven at every step forward in the medium. We love watching kitties do cute stuff. It is a very human addiction to which most people are not immune. And here's a whole movie worth of perfectly anthropomorphized kitten and cat movement taking up most of the screen time. It is going to be entertaining just because of the subject matter. There are lots of iconic feline behaviors captured here. O'Malley rolling around in the grass, Berlioz looking dreadfully miserable while soaked, the way the kittens plop around on the piano and chase people's feet, Toulouse's whole little kitten trying to look intimidating bit, and just in general Marie's whiplashing back and forth between I am a sophisticated, majestic creature and no, stop, I'm annoyed.
Now that hurt. You're gonna be busted.
And on top of having cute cat behaviors, they also have cute human behaviors as well. All of the kittens are just generally very adorable children and have some fun sibling banter.
You're not a lady. You're nothing but a sister.
Our adult cats have a very endearing romance going on. And of course, Scat Cat and the gang are pretty fun. Another thing about our main cat family, they are French.
Naturellement, the Aristocats.
This takes place in France. You'll see there is the Eiffel Tower, and they speak French.
Oh, c'est très joli, monsieur. Very poetic.
Accordion-heavy soundtrack. Singing in French.
Et devant qui les autres chats tirent leur chapeau.
An emphasis on arts and culture. And I think it's always great to have a definite sense of place like that. These cats didn't have to be French, but they are, and I think it adds a lot. Additionally, I really like that the Aristocats kind of breaks the animal movie meta a little bit. Cats are stereotypically at odds with a lot of other animals, no matter the narrative. But this movie has both cats and dogs featured as heroes. The kittens play around with the family O'Malley horse. We have these geese friends who help save the life of O'Malley and travel with the group for a little bit. And even our adorable little mouse friend, Roquefort, is a good friend of the cats.
Good evening, Duchess. Hello, kittens.
Hello, Roquefort.
Living with them in the house and spending a good chunk of the movie trying to save them.
This little guy's on the level. You're doing tootin', I'm on the level.
I think it's fun. I like seeing all of these different groups get along and stupid humans being the main obstacle they have to get past. A lot of people rag on Edgar for being a pretty dull and useless villain, and he's nothing special, but I think he works pretty well for the movie that he's in. He is the butler who tries to kill Duchess and her kittens in order to get the inheritance which they are first in line to inherit.
There are a million reasons why I should. All of them dollars.
And yeah, he doesn't do a great job of completing his one very simple objective, is regularly outsmarted by small animals, and is generally a clumsy idiot about the whole thing. But in a movie where your protagonists are all animals, you do kind of need your human antagonist to be a bit of a ditz to even out the playing field. And I think his incompetence is fun. I like that he doesn't know how to math out how long cats will live.
Each cat will live about 12 years. I can't wait. And each cat has 9 lives. That's 4 times 12 and multiplied by 9.
He goes around loudly talking to himself about how he's committed a crime.
The police say it was a professional, masterful job.
I like how jittery he is on his way to kill the cats. Like, he freaks out just driving by the police station. What do you think they're gonna do? See you driving at night with cats secured safely for travel and arrest you?
You're under arrest right now!
There are plenty of things that fall short though. The dogs are fine, but their scenes go on a little too long. Madame as a character is pretty uninteresting in general. And the whole bit at the beginning with the lawyer is more entertaining in theory than in practice. Hyperbolically old is an endearing trait, and I do quite like when he puts on his mega thick glasses and methodically unscrews his pen, but that's about it. We could cut most of the slapstick bits with him, and I think the movie would probably be better. Just in general, the Aristocats is at its best when it's about the cats. Shocker, I know, who would have guessed? But that's mainly because I just love the characters that they've made for them. I just want to see more of these guys. I want more sibling chaos. I want more of Duchess's expert single mothering moments. I want more of O'Malley bonding with the kids. And I want more of this heated feline romance.
If you would be just so kind and show me the way.
Show you the way? Perish the thought. We shall fly to Paris on a magic carpet, side by side.
You said we're gonna ride on your magic carpet.
Well, now, what I meant, you see,
No poetry to cover the situation, Monsieur O'Malley.
She's got him. I like that it's an older romance. I like that it's a cross-cultural romance. I like that it's a parental romance. It's a good combo. But the real reason I want to talk about the movie is this fellow right here.
Abraham de Lacy, Giuseppe Casey, Thomas O'Malley. O'Malley the alley cat.
Mr. O'Malley, I feel, is the perfect counterbalance to my previous Disney prince analysis. And yes, I'm committing to the idea that this cat is a Disney prince. I made an argument for Prince Charming and his and Cinderella's romance more generally as being very asexually coded. And there was a little bit of debate in the comments over whether that assessment was strictly accurate. There were a couple of people echoing the sentiment that just because the prince isn't interested in the pomp and circumstance surrounding his dad forcing him into marriage doesn't mean that he's asexual. And I get that, I really do. But the tricky thing about asexual coding is that it's not necessarily a present attribute like other coding might be, but more of a negative space-based trait. Asexuality is the absence of sexual attraction. So to try and prove the presence of asexuality is To prove a negative? Yes, just because a character doesn't exhibit sexual attraction in narrative doesn't mean that they can't feel it, but you know, what other data are we supposed to be collecting to prove that it isn't there? Additionally, I think my argument extended a little bit further than that. The main thesis, as per the whole framing device of the video, surrounded his body language. He is very delicate in his interactions with Cinderella. They hold hands, dance, maybe even kiss, but in none of these actions is there an obvious impulse to be physically intimate. There's no inclination to lean on each other. He never puts his arm around her or even moves their bodies closer to one another. He values these gestures like holding hands or a kiss in as much as they are useful signals of his romantic affection, which he would like to express, but not for their ability to make physical tactile contact. Again, affectionate yet physically spaced is what I see in their behavior. It's not simply the fact that Charming is wary of marriage, is respectful, and understands consent, which makes him read as asexual. There's a whole spectrum of guys, from ace to playboy, that all fit those qualifications. It's not a very high bar. And if Charming is on the far innocent side of the Disney prince spectrum, O'Malley is his complete opposite on the total player side.
Helping beautiful damsels in distress is my specialty.
His name is Thomas.
Thomas O'Malley.
As in a cat named Tom, to convey that he is a tomcat. He too sees his woman and immediately starts pursuing her. His approach is a whole song and dance about how cool he is,
Prince of the Boulevard.
accompanied by a very thick lather of cheesy compliments.
Why, your eyes are like sapphires, sparkling so bright. They make the morning radiant and light.
How romantic.
And aggressively showing off his body. And this energy doesn't exactly fade as the movie goes on. The Aristocats, weirdly horny movie. He's flirting with these geese. He takes pride in people thinking his exploits are scandalous. And Duchess is no slouch either. She's got this whole sexy serenade about what you gotta do if you wanna be her man.
If you want to turn me on, play your horn, don't spare the tone.
Lots of laying around with each other. And who could forget the tail hold? But believe it or not, our Mr. O'Malley is actually a great example of appropriate and respectful behavior all through the movie. He approaches Duchess from a distance, and only after she seems receptive to his advances does he move into her personal space bubble.
Very good. You are a great talent.
Well, thank you. And what might your name be?
And then, only after some positively received flirting does he move to make physical contact. Consent isn't some hurdle to get past in his mind, but an obvious necessity, because he doesn't want to get involved with someone who's not as into it as he is. He needs someone who can match his power levels. He's also continually sure that he is being more vulnerable with her than he's asking her to be with him. He's exposing his stomach while having only just recently met her, which, if I've been understanding Jackson Galaxy correctly, is a big deal for cats.
That midline is the most vulnerable place we have. This move is to say to you, Lizzie, by the way, I trust you. And that's a huge move.
When he asks for her trust with a plan of his, he makes sure that he's the one onboarding the majority of the risk for said plan.
You could have lost your life.
So I got a few to spare.
When you're the one making the advances, you want to make sure that you're not asking more of the other person than you are giving of yourself, and O'Malley understands and follows this rule instinctually. He also has a very clear conception of commitment and boundaries. The wrinkle in this romance which makes it so unique against its Disney animated counterparts is Duchess's status as a single mother. Once the kittens enter the picture, Thomas understands that Duchess and the kittens are a package deal.
Just we two.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
3, 4, 5.
Oh, yes, Monsieur O'Malley. These are my children.
Oh, how sweet.
If he wants to pursue her, he also has to be invested in the lives of these kids. And if he's not down with kittens, not only does he have the responsibility to be honest and cut his ties now, but also to be a good sport about the impromptu interaction he has stumbled into with them. Because he has invested this minimal amount of time with Duchess, he also has to show that same respect for her kids. And he does. He's willing to entertain Toulouse's curiosities about him and rizzes him up with the same investment that he bantered with Duchess.
See you around, Tiger.
He's clearly surprised that Duchess has kittens, but never blames her for not telling him sooner or is rude about the misunderstanding. And on the flip side, Duchess never gets on his case about changing his mind.
Well, what I had in mind was a kind of a sports model, baby. You know, one of those...
Perhaps a magic carpet built for two.
I wouldn't take up much room.
I understand perfectly, Monsieur O'Malley.
There's a very obvious mutual respect here, regardless of their differing outlooks on life. And that's all either of them had to do. The interaction could have ended there, but O'Malley decides that he wants to go above and beyond just that. He feels bad that he accidentally got the kids' hopes up about a magic carpet, even though that was very clearly just like a flowery metaphor. There was never any expectation for him to actually deliver a literal magic carpet. But he decides he's gonna make good on that accidental promise too.
If I said magic carpet it's gonna be.
He ain't about to have anyone walking around thinking he's not a man of his word, even if those people are little children. So he goes out of his way to make it happen, even after having given up on courting Duchess.
All right, step lively, all aboard for Paris.
But, you know, then Marie gets herself in trouble and he gets roped into coming along. Obviously, somewhere along the way, he changes his mind and decides, you know what? Maybe I am interested in the whole package. Sexy wife and kids I love. I think I do want that.
All those little kittens, Duchess. I love them.
Which of course is great to hear, but that impulse to make good on all of his commitments, even when he's not in a relationship, really sets the tone for the relationship. This romance is about follow through. Thomas is willing to follow through on every promise he makes. He follows through with the commitment to the kids. He follows through with the commitment to get Duchess and by proxy her kids back to Paris. But this is also on the part of Duchess. She follows through on trusting Thomas, on defending him to those who would look down on him, on meeting his friends when it's already been a really long day.
Oh, no. I would like to see your pad and meet your scat cat.
And when it comes down to it, Duchess already has a commitment to Madame, and so isn't willing to break that commitment to be with Thomas. And Thomas is completely understanding of this fact.
I guess you know best. But I'm gonna miss you, baby.
He doesn't ruffle feathers about them having to part ways, even when he personally doesn't understand the appeal that house life has to them. Ultimately, the movie ends with both of them compromising, working within each other's boundaries to make things work. Thomas gets adopted and moves into the house, but his friends and the street life are sort of let into the lower floors. Both of their worlds colliding in order to make not only the relationship, but the whole family and their surrounding circumstances work. O'Malley's arc is obviously about learning to love and appreciate the kids. They start off as an inconvenience and maybe a bit of an amusement, but by the end, he's carrying them around on his shoulders and feels this impulse to be a parental figure to them.
They need a father around.
But it's also an arc about him learning to earnestly love Duchess as well. When he's first flirting with her, he spits out this line.
Why, your eyes are like sapphires, sparkling so bright.
Which we're meant to understand as a sort of stock pickup line of his.
Very poetic, but it is not quite Shakespeare.
Of course not. That's pure O'Malley, baby.
But by the time we reach the film's turning point, we see the flip in mindset where he's now giving this as a sincere compliment.
Boy, your eyes are like sapphires. Gee.
It's a stellar character moment which proves the growth he's been through, not only to the audience, but also to himself. It is progress which starts from a very base level instinctual attraction, and your impulse might be to see that as a negative, but the important thing to note is that it is growth he understands he will have to go through if he's gonna stick with this woman from the very beginning, and that is what makes him a great guy. He always knows that emotional investment is expected of him if he continues courting her. He never doubts that loving the kids is part of the deal if he decides to take it. Even if he doesn't start out loving them, he understands that he will have to learn to. He never begrudges it, he accepts it as part of the process. He knows that's the end goal. He's committed to the legwork, and he's gonna follow through. It's gratifying to see him enjoy the process more than he anticipated, but from day one, he is willing to accept the responsibilities put on him by his impulsive advances. And that is what O'Malley and Charming have in common. They both have a clear understanding of boundaries, try to match the pace of their partner, and end up falling further in love than they ever anticipated by the end.
That's pretty corny, though, huh?
Oh no, not at all.
Now, it is at this juncture that I would usually turn to extended universe content to try and back up my point here, but to literally everyone's dismay, the Aristocats is one of the few features from this era without a low-budget direct-to-DVD sequel, which seems insane to me. The Aristocats is an episodic animal road trip movie prominently featuring several child characters. That seems like the exact sort of thing these sequels gravitate towards. You could chop it up into 3 different stories, you could introduce a whole bunch of new characters, you could have it focus exclusively on animal sidekicks, and it would not feel out of place for the vibe of the original movie. The sequels love focusing in on next gens, and the Aristocats has a bunch of them that people already love built in. And given the Aristocats' status as a Bronze Age production, it's not even like you're attaching a low quality product to a timeless classic. It's the Aristocats. No one's gonna care. And apparently, at one point, there was a sequel planned. It would focus on Marie as she falls in love with another kitten while she and her family are on a luxury cruise ship and end up having to go head to head with a jewel thief. Sort of a Murder on the Orient Express without the murder. This sounds amazing. It was a cruise ship sequel. It's perfect. I can see it all now. Marie having this enemies to lovers plotline with this other kitten. There's a weird amount of pets on this cruise ship for some reason. Berlioz is investigating a theft on board with Roquefort, and Toulouse is along for the ride, but he's mainly enamored with all the cool stuff on the ship. But then at the end of the second act, it's revealed that Marie's love interest is the kitten of the jewel thief, and they've been working together to pull off the burglaries. But love convinces him to be good, and so he betrays his owner. And everyone teams up to try and get the thief revealed. There's a whole side plot about the parents wanting to get some romantic time alone, but they keep on getting interrupted by all the various antics going on. Why doesn't this exist? This feels inevitable that this would exist. Okay, no, hold on. Disney execs demanded that it be switched to 3D animation late into early development. So, you know what, never mind. I don't need to see it.
Which pet's address is the finest in Paris? Which pets possess the longest pedigree? Which pets get to sleep on velvet mats? Naturellement, the Aristocats. Which pets are blessed with the fairest forms and faces? Which pets know best all the gentle social graces? Which pets live on cream and loving pats? Naturellement, the Aristocats.